John Wick Chapter 5 has been confirmed, along with an animated prequel, a spin-off movie for Kane, and I'm sure many more ballerina movies. But the big question is, how on earth is John Wick back for John Wick Chapter 5? Because, in case you hadn't noticed, at the end of Chapter 4, he died. So how is he back, and how is Keanu Reeves going to return? Well, firstly, the big question is, will Keanu Reeves return? Because he doesn't necessarily have to, but I do think this is a definite yes. If it is a good enough story, which it has to be since it is in production now, and if they pay him enough money, Keanu Reeves definitely will return as John Wick. Plus, we know he is still really invested in this franchise and the future of the franchise. Considering he produced and returned to star in a spin-off movie where he isn't the main character, which I absolutely loved, by the way, it shows he is willing to bring John Wick back. But then, how is he going to bring him back for future films? Now, since he did return for Ballerina, my first thought was, is John Wick Chapter 5 going to be half set in the present, where John Wick is dead, and half set in the past, where John Wick is alive, and he can just be shown through lots of different flashbacks? After all, they got him back for Ballerina, which of course takes place in between John Wick Chapter 3 and 4. But there's two main reasons why I don't think this will be the case. To start with, we have the announcement of the animated prequel series, and I don't think Keanu Reeves will be able to look 15 years younger. And it has been confirmed by the director that Chapter 5 will not be about the High Table. All of the previous films have all been centered around the High Table's power and the management of the Continentals. Specifically, Chapter 3 and 4 really did focus on this, and I'm glad they're putting it to rest now. And so I think if they did do a prequel, the High Table would inevitably have to be part of it, and since the director has said the High Table isn't going to be a part of it, that's the reason why I think this isn't going to be a prequel, and it will focus on the future. But the fact that the High Table isn't going to be a big presence in Chapter 5 might also give us some answers as to how John Wick is returning. Because at the end of John Wick Chapter 4, we see John looking out at the sunrise after being freed from the High Table for good, and then all we see is Winston and Bowery at John Wick's grave next to his wife's grave. Now, we technically never do see him die, but it is supposed to imply to everyone that he is dead, including the High Table. So perhaps John Wick, Winston and Bowery faked that John had died in the conflict so that the High Table would never try to change their deal, and that everyone under the rules and the management of the Continentals wouldn't try to go after John Wick, so he could then finally live a free man. He could finally get his dream peace that he's been dreaming of ever since the first film. Now, I do think this is the most likely scenario, and it does mean that Chapter 5 and any future movies could focus on John Wick being a completely new man, separate from his past as the Baba Yaga. Everyone thinks he's dead when he's not. The other scenario is he is actually dead, and if he is, there could be a few ways to approach Keanu Reeves coming back. It could be that Chapter 5 is based on completely different characters, but characters who know John Wick, similar to Eve in Ballerina, and Wick could appear to them in either flashbacks or pre-recorded messages, or even as some sort of ghostly presence. The problem with this is that the franchise has never really done anything like that before, and making a John Wick movie without John Wick at the center would be a very big risk, and likely wouldn't pay off very well. They could do a more fantastical movie, out of reality sort of movie, where John Wick is actually dead, and it is his journey to find his wife in the afterlife, but then again, the franchise has always been, to an extent, literal and is always set in reality, so I doubt they would do that. But at CinemaCon 2025, where John Wick Chapter 5 was announced along with all of these other spin-offs, the director did say that it would be really different to anything that we've seen before. So there are many different possibilities that could go, even something like John Wick being set in heaven rather than in reality. Either way, John Wick Chapter 5 is coming, and there is no doubt in my mind that John Wick will return, since Keanu Reeves recently said in an interview,
"Is there a chance we're going to see a John Wick 5 with you back in the suit?"
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think You can never say never.
I do think the easiest and most likely solution is that he did just fake his death and we get a small little explanation and then the rest of the movie comes along, but maybe there is something more advanced and complex about how John Wick is returning. But what do you guys think about this? Do you reckon that he just faked his death, or do you think there might be a more sinister reason as to how he has returned? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments, and are you excited for John Wick Chapter 5, or do you think they should have just ended it perfectly with Chapter 4? Let me know all your thoughts down there, and as always, we've been here on Gated Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
There's a beauty